In yesterday's video, we took an in-depth look at the recently released D23 Episode 9 footage, discussing how the massive fleet of Imperial-class Star Destroyers originated with Palpatine himself, sent by the Dark Lord into the unknown regions in preparation for his eventual return. The basis for this theory was two key facts. First, that Palpatine knew he approached a shatter point prior to the Battle of Endor, one that threatened his destiny and vision for the galaxy through the emergence of Luke's destiny. And second, Palpatine had the capabilities to send a massive fleet of Imperial Star Destroyers into the unknown regions away from the eyes of the known galaxy through his contingency plan and the hyperspace routes unlocked within the Jakku Observatory. This combination of foresight and the available means, in addition to the lore having established it just doesn't make sense for the First Order to use this class of capital ship, I'm confident we can say the fleet in the D23 footage belongs to Palpatine. But this point creates a few further questions, an important one being where this fleet might be located in the galaxy if it is indeed connected to Palpatine's long-term plan. A reference merely to the unknown regions does seem a little vague, so in today's video, I want to provide my theory for where this Imperial Star Destroyer fleet is being hidden in the galaxy by Palpatine. In doing so, I believe we'll answer a few other important questions along the way, and strengthen our argument from yesterday regarding why we should believe this fleet is Palpatine's in the first place. If you watched our video from yesterday, or our earlier video entitled How Palpatine Survived and Will Return in Episode 9 The Rise of Skywalker, you'll know that Palpatine's long-term plan to ensure the survival of his empire, even if it was defeated, was known as the Contingency. Through the Jakku Observatory, decades of effort allowed Palpatine to map a route through the unknown regions, so that a new, more powerful empire could rise out of sight from the known galaxy. This part of Palpatine's contingency gets a lot of attention, and rightfully so, as it was exactly this work that allowed for the rise of the First Order. The Imperial remnant was able to escape into the unknown regions through the path discovered by Palpatine's Jakku Observatory, and then make use of the shipyards, laboratories, and storehouses established along the way. Without Palpatine's contingency, there would be no First Order. But there was a second, and in my opinion, more important operation conducted at the Jakku Observatory through Palpatine's contingency efforts. While very few knew about the contingency itself, even less knew the full nature of these additional efforts undertaken by Palpatine. One of them was Supreme Leader Snoke. While the Supreme Leader recognized the previously mentioned work Palpatine's plan was able to achieve in allowing for the rise of a new empire, Snoke being the main beneficiary of it, having risen to assume leadership of the First Order and made use of the shipyards and resources positioned by the former Emperor, his knowledge of the Force also allowed Snoke to understand Palpatine's second goal with the contingency, that being Palpatine's search for knowledge that existed within the unknown region's long-abandoned, half-legendary star systems, knowledge that would serve Palpatine in his identity as the Sith Lord Darth Sidious. Therefore, while Palpatine was interested in ensuring a new empire could rise, he also wanted to unlock a path through the unknown regions so he could gain access to the secrets and truths about the Force that waited there, and which had been lost to the known galaxy, including the Sith Order. Even more, Palpatine knew there was an inescapable dark side presence beyond the borders of the known galaxy, waiting for him within the unexplored infinity. The canon Aftermath trilogy makes numerous references to this dark side presence in the unknown regions and its importance. Through Palpatine's friend and advisor Yub Tashu, we learn that Palpatine unsurprisingly considered the dark side his savior, and that the Imperial remnant needed to retreat from the known galaxy, go beyond the Veil of Stars, and seek the source of the dark side. I believe this is exactly what Palpatine was doing. He was seeking a wellspring of the dark side, its very source in the unknown regions. And thus, it isn't surprising when we see Tashu believe Palpatine would be found again after his death in the darkness of the unknown regions. Through Palpatine's protege and fellow architect of the contingency, Gallius Rax, we know Palpatine was convinced that something waited for him within the unknown regions. And not just something, but the origin of the Force itself, a dark presence formed of malevolence. It called to Palpatine, radiating waves outwardly as a signal drawing him in, which only he could perceive. It was this dark presence that became Palpatine's singular obsession, even during the Galactic Civil War with the Rebellion. All of this is to say that I believe the planet we're seeing in the D23 footage, the location harboring the massive fleet of Imperial Star Destroyers, is the source of the dark side felt by Palpatine, an origin of the Force itself. It's long been speculated that the dark presence felt by Palpatine within the unknown regions was Snoke, but I believe it's much more likely that what Palpatine felt was a place and not an individual, a place that contained long-lost secrets of the dark side and served as its origin. Just like the Jedi and light side had its wellspring of life in the galactic core, the edges of the unknown regions had its wellspring for the dark side. This isn't to say that when Palpatine died during the Battle of Endor, he just magically teleported into the unknown regions and upon this dark side planet. Just the opposite. As we explained in our video discussing Palpatine's survival and return, the Dark Lord had access to this location before his death, with the observatory on Jakku finding a path to it before Endor. And given the way it called out to Palpatine once the path was found, it's hard to conceive how he wouldn't have traveled there at some point before Episode 6, providing the Emperor with the means for his return and a natural focal point for his Star Destroyer fleet. It was a secret kept even from the First Order, and certainly from the New Republic, an existence that only Palpatine knew of. In this regard, the example of the planet Dromon Kos in Legends is extremely beneficial if we compare it to the brief scene we see in the D23 footage. The best description of the Outer Rim planet is provided in Part 1, Chapter 1 of the Revan novel, with Lord Scourge having just stepped foot on Dromon Kos. From Revan, we know that the perpetual darkness and powerful electrical storms that filled the sky of Dromon Kos were an actual physical manifestation of the dark side power that consumed the entire planet. Even more, it was this all-powerful presence of the dark side that brought the Sith Emperor Vitiate to it after the Great Hyperspace War, who in having fled from the eyes of the Republic and Jedi, rebuilt the Sith on the previously lost planet of Dromon Kos. In many ways, I believe we have a very similar situation here with Palpatine. Recognizing the potential for the approaching Shatterpoint foreseen by Palpatine to result in his death, the Dark Lord retreated from his personal fight with the destiny of Luke Skywalker and the failure of Vader to find refuge within the dark side itself, a place that served as some origin of the Force. Just like Dromon Kos, the lightning and desolation of the planet are physical examples of the dark side power that engulfed this location. While we might not exactly be looking at a Force storm being conjured by Palpatine, I do think it's possible that the Sith Lord's arcane abilities could certainly be contributing to the terrain, just as what occurred with Vitiate's experiments. But to build off our theory from yesterday, I believe the most likely location for this massive Star Destroyer fleet is also the most likely place of return for Palpatine, upon a planet deep within the unknown regions that served as a physical manifestation and place of origin for the dark side of the Force. A place that, as Snoke recognized, harbored secrets about the dark side that had been long lost to the Sith within the known galaxy. And just as the First Order represented a monumental victory for Palpatine's contingency, Palpatine's return here and his ability to retain a massive fleet at this location represents an even bigger victory for the Dark Lord of the Sith. So there we have it, where the Imperial Star Destroyer fleet from the D23 footage is located and why it was put there by Palpatine. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions. Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. Or perhaps follow us on Twitter at SW Reading Club for updates regarding the channel. Or support the channel through Patreon for access to exclusive rewards and discussions. If not for me... for ancient dark side planets.